Welcome everyone to my latest video review. This is a comparison video of the Time Force and Wild Force figures. So on the right I have the Power Rangers Time Force figures, and on the left I have the Wild Force figures. So overall, if you were to look at them, aesthetically pleasing, which figures look good? To me, Time Force looks good because Wild Force has each figure has like an action feature thing going on. Because of that, like you have Blue with these annoying hands like sticking out, or you have Luna Wolf with his hands off to a side. It just like you can't really have like the hands on the side naturally. Like you do have black, yellow, white, and red, but then there are certain figures that just don't go well together. Like action features, like I mentioned in my previous video, is not a good idea. Time Force looks very natural. They look good, and also one thing that's amazing is that you can stand the figure up straight and good. Like you don't have to worry. Like right now, I have this other Wild Force figure standing because I tried with my original Wild Force figure, and it just refuses to stand. I don't know like what's going on. It's annoying. So I just used this Wild Force figure here. So overall, as a team, Time Force definitely gets the point. Now let's look at articulation. Like the old Bandai figures, they had the basic articulation where you could move their legs up and down. By the knee, you can move it 360 up and down. The arms up and down, and by the shoulder, and you can also rotate it. And the heads, it depended on the figures. Some figures you could move the heads, some figures you couldn't. So these ones you really can't move the head. So basic articulation for but then because of the action feature, you have like very deep, varied articulation. Like red, you could not move his legs. I mean, you could move his rotate his knee. That's about it. But you could move the arm. It's like it's spring loaded. It just stays up there, which is, and you can move it down. And head, you could move it, and by the elbow. Like I mentioned in my other video reviews, like my figures, I have it standing upright, so I don't really have them doing any extreme poses. The fact that you can't really move the leg in red isn't a huge thing, but I know for other collectors it would be an issue. So articulation would definitely go for the Time Force males because yeah, you can really move the leg in this one. Or if you take Blue, you have the arms protruding out like so. You move the feet up, down. You don't really have too much articulation at the knee. Move this one up and down. You have some articulation there. Problem is because it has like spring loaded action, their legs and arms are just really awkward. Like, yeah. So Blue also fails. Now let's look at Black. I think he's the most natural out of all of them. You can move his legs. I think I spoke too soon there. Yeah, you can move his legs, moves his arms. He also has like waist articulation. Blue also has a waist articulation, but Black's is better because his arms are more natural to the side. You can even move his head. Yeah. Black is almost there, but he also fails because you can't really do anything at the knee there, just like the Time Force figures. And Lunar Wolf is pretty much the same. Move his legs. But his arms are really awkward, especially this one. So that's pretty much what you can do. Yeah. the Wild Force or the Time Force males win in articulation. However, there is another option for Wild Force. If you want to get like normal male figures, you can get these less detailed figures that have pretty much the same articulation as your basic figure. So that's red. I actually want to show this to you guys in the Wild Force review, but it slipped my mind, so I guess I'll show it to you here. There's black, and here's blue. But as you can tell, the detailing is not that great on these figures. They almost look like bootleg figures until like you take a closer look and you're like, wait, no, they're actually the real deal. Like these figures, like you could move the legs up and down, just like the regular Time Force figures. Up and down, and then you can move their gloves. So they had the same basic articulation. But let me take black and the two blacks and I'll show you guys. As you can tell, the articulation is quite lacking with this figure. Not articulation, sorry. The detailing is quite lacking when it comes to the paint in this figure here. So I'm going to show you guys a close-up so you guys can tell. I mean, if you really cared about articulation and didn't really care about the details, you really had the option of this figure. But as a collector, you shouldn't have to buy an extra set of figures just because of articulation issues. Like the figure should already come with that. Now moving on with articulation for the females. So here's yellow. Move the foot up and down. A little bit stiff on my Time Force girls. I'm not too sure why. I don't know if it's the age. Arms up and down by the elbow. You can rotate their knees. Head, you can't really do much. That's pretty much it. Let me bring out Wild Force yellow. I put a bit of tape there because some of them are falling. The legs are kind of stiff and awkward. Like that's pretty much what you could do. The arms are spring loaded, so you can move it up, bend it by the elbow, and you can move the head. So this one is an interesting one because Wild Force actually looks like a natural female. Like it looks more like a female than Time Force yellow. However, Time Force yellow has the articulation. Like you could do so much more with that figure. But so I would still give it to Time Force yellow. I know like Wild Force looks a little bit more aesthetically pleasing because she looks a little bit more natural than the broader like Time Force figures. But rather go for the broader look and have proper articulation than it looking good and having like no articulation to the point some of them can't even stand properly. Like that's how bad it is. So articulation, Time Force wins definitely, hands down. Yeah. So Time Force pretty much has it. Like so let's take a look at their weapons and accessories. So each Time Force Ranger came with their Chrono Saber. You could deattach it and have it as 2, or you can attach it again, have it as 1, which is really cool. And Quantum Ranger came with his gun in sword mode, and his gun right here. For some reason, they didn't bother painting any of those weapons, but they did go all out and paint their V weapons. So that's yellow, green, red, and pink, and blue. And then you could form the I think they called it Vortex Blaster, maybe I'm wrong. Which was pretty easy compared to some other combinations. This is what it looks like. It looks really detailed and really good. So that was the Time Force accessories. Moving on, Wild Force had these accessories here. I think they call this the Savage Sword. And I like their main weapons a lot more than Time Force because I liked how Bandai went all out and painted them. So you have Red Ranger's claw weapon. That's what it looks like. You can put it together, or you can detach it and use it as two. You had Yellow Ranger's sword, Blue Ranger's fin weapons, White Ranger's baton, and Black Ranger's axe. One thing I loved about their weapons being colored is that they had their own individual color scheme. So it's not like the Vortex weapons where they're pretty much all white with a little bit of detailing here and there. No, it's like yellows was like all yellow and silver, blacks was black and silver, like red is all red, and white is completely white and just some pink axe, and blue is all blue. So like they really went out to color everything. They even colored their crystal sabers, which I really love. That's what it looks like. And they came with their like all the guys came with lion blasters, which they didn't have to even release, but they cared to do that. So that's red, and they did for all three males. I mean, they didn't even they could have just released it for red. And then Lunar Wolf came with his little Lunar Wolf Q that my figures didn't come with, but this humongous weapon here. And then white and yellow also came with big weapons. Yellow came with like an eagle jetpack, and with the push of a button, you could shoot. It shot its head basically. The head was the missile, and then white came with like a big tiger. The push of a button, the claw would just come out. Again, these figures didn't come with them, but I have linked the original Wild Force figures video review in my Wild Force at the end of my current Wild Force review. If you guys want to check it out, like it is in there. So for accessories, finally Wild Force gets a point because they come with a lot. Like Time Force, I mean, yeah, they didn't have too much accessories to work with, but they really could have like painted the Chrono Saber, because the Chrono Sabers, what makes them look really cool is that it's like a transparent glass or a plastic that's here, and then the ends of it is their respective color that's also transparent. So that's what makes them look really cool. But taking that away, like, kind of ruins the aesthetic of the Chrono Saber. Even the Quantum Defender, the black and the red makes it look really cool, but when they just made it gray plastic, like, no. So as accessories, the Wild Force figures definitely get a point for that. And the fact that both of the weapons can join is really awesome. So overall, like if you look at both Time Force and Wild Force, I would definitely give it to Time Force because Wild Force doesn't have too much going for it. It's that lame action feature that kind of ruined these figures. If they didn't have action features and they followed the same thing as Time Force, like how the Time Force figures look, definitely Wild Force would have looked a lot better. So yeah, so that's my video review, and I really wish I could do like a Wild Force and Ninja Storm, but then Ninja Storm would definitely win. And I don't even have the Ninja Storm figures. I don't plan to get them because I have the Legacy versions. I hope Lightning will release them, but no, like I think Wild Force would only win if we compare them with Turbo, the old Zeo figures, and the old Mighty Morphin figures, because yeah, those were when the figures were pretty bad. So that's, yeah, but anything after that, like, no, Wild Force is pretty bad. So Don't get me wrong, Wild Force, they look great as a team, but if you want to do anything with those figures, like, just forget about them. Like, I had to use a different red to just forget to get it to stand because my original red wouldn't stand. Yeah, and if you guys are interested in purchasing these, definitely eBay. I see the Wild Force figures popping up quite often, so you have no issues getting it there. Time Force, I don't really see them pop up too much. Very rarely they do come up here and there. But be prepared to pay a bit because to get them for a deal, it's really hard. I haven't seen them for a good deal in a while. But it will come. So just search eBay and you will get them. So that is my video review or comparison video review. And yes, thanks for watching. And as always, please like, comment, subscribe. It really does help. Thank you and have a wonderful day.